powerful knight who have a curse. Kill him in just one hit, and then a grown man is literally trying to murder him.
Hello and welcome to WedNESday. This week we'll be looking at a region-locked game. Believe it or not, StarTropics, while made by Nintendo, was never released in Japan. Okay, in all fairness, Japan did get the Famicom 3DS and Mother 3 and Murasumi's Castle and the N64 disc drive and the Secret of Mana remakes coming to the Switch and the Double Cross Monster Hunter and that cool Ace Attorney game with Sherlock Holmes and that first Ace Attorney game that never got localized. They also got physical releases of the Splatoon and the Pokemon X and Y on physical CDs and a bevy of other things. But hey, we got the most average NES game I've ever played in my entire life, so who really cares? I think we're pretty equal in releases. But man, that 3DS looks so cool!
In StarTropics, you play as an American baseball player who looks nearly identical to Pro Jared named Mike Jones. He's come to the Pacific Islands to visit his uncle Steve Jones. Hey, I actually have an Uncle Steve, so this is a pretty relatable character. So first off, we go to a small village and talk to people there, like Miss Coral, 1990, a guy who tells me to get the fuck away from him, a kid who's impressed that I'm a baseball player, and a woman who tells me to go talk to the chief. Is this him? So I talk to the chief and he tells me that my uncle got abducted like a week ago and that I should go save him. And to save him, he gives me a star. I think you mean a yo-yo. The first place I need to go to find him is through the secret passage in the village. Where is it? I've been searching the village for like 5 minutes and I can't find any passage entrance.
We're off to a great start.
Okay, so apparently the guy who told me to get away from him was protecting the passage. And here's where we get the main gameplay. So the thing I can relate this game to most closely is probably Zelda. You enter a room and quickly need to determine, is this a room with a combat encounter or a puzzle? Or possibly a combination of the two. So I don't really know how I'm gonna do this video because each dungeon has like over 20 rooms and it would be a little much to tell you about every single room. Maybe just the rooms that stand out the most. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay, so another weird thing about this game is the movement. You're on like a grid, which is okay I guess, but my biggest annoyance is that whenever you turn, you don't immediately start moving. You kind of hold still for a few frames. And I guess this kind of makes sense because for some combat and some puzzles, you wouldn't want to immediately start stepping. But I feel like you hold still for a bit too much, especially later in the game where you need to be moving quickly to avoid getting hit. But the combat and platforming are okay, especially in this first dungeon. Just slugs, bats, and rats. The yo-yo range is 2 spaces, so you can take them out pretty easily. And the puzzles is basically platforming, jumping on blocks to reveal buttons, then you jump on the buttons, which will usually open up either the path or a treasure chest. As the game progresses, you may need to do this while fighting or in like a dark room, and they can be a little bit tricky since they know that you can only jump a maximum of 2 spaces at a time. So the treasures are never anything cool since StarTropics doesn't really have a currency. It's almost always a special weapon, usually because the boss is only vulnerable to that. Like this first snake guy. I have these torches that work as projectiles. All I need to do is jump to avoid his attacks and then retaliate. Yeah! Eat torch, snake! After I kill him, I walk over to my uncle's lab and find his assistant, Babu. He tells me the code to activate my uncle's submarine and I'm off to my next area. In the next area, almost immediately, a dolphin mother comes up to me and tells me that she's looking for her son. But since this is a video game, I'm looking for her son. So I get a search-in. I walk around a little bit, and then I submarine around a little bit, and then I find some just barely telegraphed entrances. And here's the thing, usually I can't stand when game does stuff like this. But as soon as I learned that all of the secret passages are just barely telegraphed, I actually enjoyed finding the entrances on my own and feel good for figuring it out. Soon I make it to the second dungeon. So this dungeon has more aquatic-based enemies. Iguanas, octoroks, and starfish. And they're all fun to fight in their own way. Quickly reacting to the iguanas, judging the starfish's trajectory, and then fighting the octoroks while jumping from platform to platform. After a while, I found a potion, a snowman doll, and a lost dolphin. But to save him, I gotta go through the octopus boss. He takes shots at me, but every so often he charges towards the platform so I can land a hit or two with my yo-yo. But if I use the snowman doll, it freezes him still for one heck of a beating. After that, I free the dolphin, and the mother is so overcome with gratitude, she offers me her dolphin body.
Maybe later?
Okay. actually, she leads me to the next area, right into a storm that knocks my submarine out of commission. But on the nearby island, I meet a chief that tells me that his daughter has fallen ill. He says that if I can get the cure for her from a man on the mountain, the village will actually repair my sub.
Wait, hold on! You're telling me that you actually know where the cure is, and you think, repairing a high-tech submarine would be much easier than just going to the dude and asking for the cure ourselves. Okay, fine. Yeah, alright, well, let's do it!
So the first cave I go to has new enemies. Snakes, flies, and abominations. What the flip is that? Skull ostrich! No! And the puzzle rooms that you had here was that you could get a glance at the room, but it almost immediately went dark. And to be honest, at first I didn't really like this, but as I learned to quickly take in my surroundings, it kinda grew on me. After that, I found a sign with Mike's face on it. Oh, what is this, like a 1-up? Oh, no, it's a 1 down.
Oh! Okay.
Then I went and I was hopping on some blocks, having a grand old time, and then when the screen panned up, I jumped in some magma and instantly died. Up to this point, the game has been fair. Never would I get into a situation where I'd have to react faster than my mind could process what was going on. But what was that? And I got a game over. At this point, extra life would have been really useful. But in this game, running out of lives only sends you to the beginning of the cave, so it's not a big deal. So I make my way through the cave to that room, going up on the right side this time, and then I run to the boss. This guy's a bit annoying. It's kinda cool how you defeat him, but his attacks are pretty much unavoidable, so you're pretty much required to either get lucky or bring a health potion. So you're jumping through the room, and then you hit the buttons to release his platforms, and then boom, you kill him. After that, I arrive at a city completely comprised of women, so I'm not really allowed to enter. But the creepy old man in front of the city said that there's a fortune teller who can help me. I find her behind the castle, and she tells me that she lost her crystal ball at a lake near Ghost Town. I guess I'm heading to the lake near Ghost Town. So the ghost cave is alright. I mean, it has a lot of fake exits that spit you back out to the surface, and I did get stuck a lot of times. My main problem is that I forgot that there are fake walls in this game. So once I looked it up, I remembered that they were there, so I was able to proceed through the cave. I took a lot of damage from invisible ghosts, but eventually I found a limited use sight rod that revealed the ghosts. I fought through them, and then eventually got stuck in this room with these shooter things. Is this my fate? To just sit in this room eternally until I get killed? I guess I could try using the ghost rod. Whoa, big ghosts! Okay, so the ghosts chuck smaller ghosts at me while those shooters do their thing. So I grab my bolos and just start chucking them at the ghost. I dodge their attacks and I land hits on them, and with my final bolo, I kill the ghost. After that, I'm allowed to drain the lake, grab the crystal ball, go back to the fortune teller, and then she transforms me into a girl.
Am I a pretty girl?
So I entered the city of women, and there were some women that were doing combat training, others who were lifting weights. So I went to the throne room and met with the queen. I told her that I needed to get to the top of the mountain to meet the sage so I could save a little girl back in the city. So she gave me a shooting star and told me to talk to the captain of the guard before I left. I did that, and she told me that the only way to get to the next dungeon was to go to the next area, jump 10 times, and shout, "Abracadabra!" Okay. So I went to the next area, I did 10 hops, and then I went on to the mountain. And before I continue, let me tell you about that shooting star that the queen gave me. It's kind of like Link's sword. As long as I have at least 6 hearts, I get a projectile attack that reaches halfway across the screen. Also, I do twice as much damage, which really helped for the next dungeon. It was mostly combat encounters. Eventually, though, I got to a little loop, and the trick was that I needed to walk through some walls that were not telegraphed. But once I walked through them, I jumped on the geyser, and it whisked me away to the top of the mountain. It's up there that I met the hermit. He gave me a scroll that would help me cure the little girl. Then he warped me back to the city, and boom, I saved Bayonetta. The people fixed my ship, and I headed right along my way. I land on the island, and then the people tell me that there was a man here who was looking for someone who looked just like Pro Jared, and that he paddled off to the east. So I went to the east in my submarine, and then boom, I got eaten just like Jonah. Inside the belly of the whale, I found Babu, who is going to give me more clues to find my uncle. But first, we gotta get out of here. He figures that if he lights his boat on fire, that'd probably be the easiest way to get out of here. Unfortunately, he dropped his lighter. 10 minutes away from here, in a dead end of this maze of a whale. At this point, I need to go through this labyrinth of the whale's stomach. There's no real threat since I never enter any combat. It's just a long trek through the whale's stomach. Eventually, I find the lighter, we make a fire, and then get spat out. And then Babu reveals the secret to me. All I need to do to find my uncle is dip my uncle's letter in some water. So I go to my nav computer and it tells me to type in the code. Well, where's the letter? Does Mike have it? Wait, how do I tell Mike to dip the letter in water?
So, apparently the original StarTropics game manual came with a physical letter from your uncle. If you had some water with you and you actually poured it on it, it would actually reveal the secret text, some more message from your uncle, the 3 numbers that you need. What? I got a comment last week that said, well, you better bring a glass of water when you play StarTropics, and I'm like, why? Is it a long game? If I'm gonna be sitting and playing a long game, no offense, but I'm gonna be drinking a soda. Nope, apparently they were on to something. I mean, seriously, what the flip is this? Okay, and here's one of the things. Only thing that the NES Classic came with besides the system is that poster right there. That one, you see that one? Well, here. Huh? I don't see any number. Is there any number here? No, the only thing I see is a ruined poster. I wonder if it ever occurred to them that maybe, just maybe, if we're not going to send all the parts necessary to play this game, maybe we should go in and just tweak it a little. Well, fortunately for me, on the SNES suspend things, if you got your phone, you can actually look at the manuals. Okay, so here we go. There we go, StarTropics. So we just go ahead, hit up that electronic manual, and all right. I know what to do now. All I gotta do is, all right. Get in there. All right, this will definitely work. Okay, so we go ahead, take that, and what the heck? This doesn't reveal the code either. What were you thinking, Nintendo? You know, I probably could have just Googled it.
747. Okay, so I follow the signal to a nearby island, but my way is blocked by this ship. The only person who knows how to get rid of the ship is this parrot, but unless I give it a proper tribute, it won't give me the secret. So I search a while, and eventually I find a fisherman who gives me a worm so I can go fishing, but I'm just gonna use it as a tribute for the parrot. I go ahead and present my offering, and then the parrot tells me the secret. Do me far. Do me.
Jeez, Mike must be one good-looking dude. First that dolphin chick wants him, and now the parrot. Ha!
Turns out that's not what the parrot was talking about. Actually, there's a piano in the memorial for the old ship's captain. To open up the cave, I need to play Do, Mi, Fa, Do, Mi. So I play that little ditty, and then boom, the cave opens on up. By the way, if you want to make a viral video, here it is. Make We Are Number 1, but it's played on the StarTropics piano. This cave is totally like an Indiana Jones movie. First off, there's getting crushed by a boulder. Then there's a point where you need to solve this puzzle while the floor collapses beneath you. And then there's like this giant spike pit, which is totally an unfair part of the game. How is someone supposed to dodge these spikes? It's completely random. But after 45 minutes, and this is using suspend states to make it easier on myself, I got to the boss. It's this giant Maui head and he's shooting snakes at me. All I gotta do is jump over them and throw baseballs into his mouth until he dies, which allows me to go through the dungeon and sink the ship to continue on to Chapter 5. Which was just a giant overworld maze. You know, no real challenge, just 15 minutes of trying pathways until I find the right one. Which led me to a short little dungeon. Compared to the last one, it was really easy. It introduced a few puzzles where I needed to jump 3 spaces instead of 2. Also, there was this really intense block part. As soon as you land on this block, you need to jump because it immediately falls from beneath you. So I needed to keep on jumping and then attacking these high health mummies while I was in the air until I killed enough of them to get a safe landing zone. It was actually pretty cool. The boss of this dungeon was pretty fun too, and pretty challenging. So all I needed to do was dodge their attack, while I waited for this flame to get out of my way so I could throw stars to these guys. After I killed both of these guys, there was another maze and, oh, look, it's a boulder.
It's not just a boulder. It's a rock.
But after wandering for a little while more, I found my uncle. He tells me that he also found that rock, and that it's actually a space pod. It was sent from a planet called Aragonia, but there was a hostile alien race that hunted the Aragonians into extinction. On the pod, he found 3 magic cubes, but when he was abducted by the aliens, they took the cubes and he feels really bad about losing them. So he asks me if I'll go grab them for him real quick.
Sure. Whatever.
So I head on to the alien ship, and it's basically just a really short, really hard dungeon. It took me 20 minutes using suspense states, but without them, it probably would have taken 2 hours. But I made it through it, and then I fought the boss. It was fun jumping from block to block, pulling off magnificent trick shots against these guys. I killed them, and they were protecting the first cube, and when I picked it up, I was given the supernova. As long as my health stays above 12 hearts, I can fire across the entire stage and do 4 times as much damage. Neat. And then I entered the next part of the spaceship. It's a lot like the last area, but now that I have the supernova, I make sure that I use those suspense states so I can stay above 12 hearts. And as long as I use the supernova, the stage is not very hard at all, especially against the boss. So he shoots at you, and then he has attacks that are really easy to dodge. So you shoot him a bunch, and then he backs up, away from this button. So you hop on the button, and then the enemy's back is up against a cliff. He shoots at you, but then you dodge and retaliate. After a few shots, you knock him back and Sparta him off the cliff. After his defeat is a short little overworld maze with the second cube, and when you pick it up, it maxes out your HP to 20. Neat. But then, the alien ship takes off with me on it. The boss starts talking to me and telling me how he's gonna kill me and stuff, but I don't want to listen to him, so I take the advice from Charlie the Unicorn 2.
All you have to do is put a banana in your ear.
And then I fight the boss. It's a little tough because it's a one-hit kill, you know? It's at times like this that I wish I had more than 3 hearts. Seriously, what's the point of giving me 20 hearts 2 seconds ago if all you're gonna do is leave me as helpless as an infant? But that's only his hand attack. Eventually his big disgusting head comes out and then you shoot him a bunch. But to retaliate, he shoots a bunch of eyes at you.
How many eyeballs that guy got in his eyes? I'm no eyeball scientist, but I don't think you get to have that many eyeballs.
Okay, so it goes down pretty easily, and then I go into a hallway with some robots, but I actually get to heal to full health. I make it into this little room with a computer boss or something, and it's actually really easy to defeat. So I blow that up, and then I'm allowed to go on to the final boss, and all things considered, he's actually pretty easy. Well, I mean, he's no harder than the other bosses. He shoots at me, and then I dodge him, and then I hit him. The only difference with this boss is that if he touches you, you die instantly. But besides that, he's not too hard. As far as challenging video games goes, the level of this is just perfect. I kill him, and then the ship starts to explode. So I run up, grab the last cube, and then the ship explodes. I land in the water and start swimming to land, but it's too far, so I drown, death sound and all.
Oh, I love it. That's the exact same sound effect that plays whenever you die in this game. It's perfect.
So the screen goes black, but... Huh? Hey! My hot dolphin waifu! She saved me! Yeah, she's the best! I head back to the first town, and everyone says lines that relate to the first thing that they said to me, but now they acknowledge that I'm a big hero dude. So I go into the chief and my uncle links together the 3 cubes and out pops an Aragonians, the daughter of the old Aragonian king. She says that her people were sent to Earth so that the species would not go extinct. The chief says that they can live on the islands, and then the credits roll. And I'm assuming Mike went to the ocean to be with his hot dolphin waifu.
So, that's StarTropics. Pretty weird game, excellent difficulty curve. Why did it ask me for the code in 2017? I don't know, I'd give the game a solid 3 out of 5, you know, 4 out of 5 for Dolphin Waifu. Well, next week I'm gonna be looking at Super C, the other game on this whole collection that I've never even heard of that. What are we doing? See you then. Actually, I got. Why'd I do that water gag? I ruined these posters. Look at it. I'm most concerned about the Fire Emblem one and this one. Like Fire Emblem, it doesn't look super bad. This one is just. Look, the worst part, they're stuck. They're stuck to the wall. I don't know how to get them off without tearing them. I think someone told me that I could iron them. That might work. Is the joke at least funny? Oh my goodness.